Blessings, namaste, and love everyone. I'm spiritualist, psychic astrologer, and medium Ray Seti. As always, thank you for offering me this opportunity to share with you my astrological and spiritual insights, and many blessings to everyone, even more so during this holiday season. We just enjoyed our Thanksgiving holiday, which really is the holiday most associated with gratitude. It is always suggested that throughout the year to allow ourselves to be mindful of being in that place of gratitude. And during this holiday season, let us allow ourselves to be even more aware of the blessings that are already surrounding us. Remember, wherever it is that we direct our attention, we magnify whatever it is that we are concentrating on. So the more that we can allow ourselves to be aware and focus on our blessings, we magnify those blessings and create them even more so. Now, I just want to begin with touching upon the Mercury retrograde. We came out of a Mercury retrograde on November 29th. And as you have heard me mention many times, that it's not until Mercury moves past the point at which it changed directions and moved retrograde are we not completely out of the retrograde influences. And that time is December 17th. On December 17th, we're completely out of the Mercury retrograde influences. And as I am continually inspiring all of us to recognize that all the planetary alignments, even a Mercury retrograde, are designed to work for our favor, in our favor, when we are recognizing how to work with the planetary energies, going with the flow of the cycles of experience. A Mercury retrograde, as always, it's a time to go within and reflect and also receive blessings. That's something we're not always conventionally taught to recognize during a Mercury retrograde. The Mercury retrograde is an opportunity to receive many blessings and to allow the energy that we have set forth to return to us. Remember, it's all about the RE words during a Mercury retrograde. So as we continue moving past the retrograde influences, certainly continue allowing yourself to receive the many blessings as well as all the energies that you have cast in motion to return to you 100-fold, certainly. Now, we begin December with a full moon on December 4th, 2025 at 6:14 p.m. This full moon is yet another super moon. And that astrologically refers to the energies being even more concentrated and even more accentuated and amplified at this full moon. The last full moons have been super moons, and I've always also have touched upon how some of the outer planets, Uranus and Neptune specifically, as well as Jupiter, are in the late stage degrees, critical degrees of a sign, indicating there are many endings, and there is a time, we are at a time of a monumental turning point. Remember how anything will unfold, how our futures will be designed is dependent upon all that we are casting in motion in every moment of every day. It was in chapter 3 of my book, The Planets Align So Rare, I touched upon how, or rather I suggested to recognize that if we allowed ourselves to be mindful and honor and acknowledge every thought we had in every moment of every day, we would clearly recognize how we are creating our realities. Remember, so much of this is for us, is inspiring us to really recognize we are the masters of our destinies and we are creating our realities. Now, with this full moon, it is in the sign of Gemini. Now, Gemini is most associated with thoughts, words, and communications. So, one, we do suggest to allow yourself to be very aware, acutely aware of all the thoughts that you cast in motion. but also allow yourself to recognize if what it is that you are speaking is not in alignment with what it is that you are desiring and choosing to experience. Remember, the creative process is thought, word, and deed. If those three elements specifically are not in alignment with one another, then we are not receiving the blessings and the intentions that we desire to enjoy while we are here in this human experience. And also, because of where the full moon is located in the chart that we cast for the United States, it's in what's known as the 12th house sector of the chart. An astrological chart is divided into 12 arenas, and each area is represents a specific part area of our lives. Anything in our lives is indicated in the astrological chart. We just need to know where it is to look. But with the 12th house sector of the astrological chart, that refers to everything which is hidden, everything that's going on behind the scenes, beneath the earth, beneath the surface. When a full moon, or even more so an eclipse, activates and energizes that point, everything that's going on behind the shadows is being brought to the surface. It's being shown. The light is shining on it so that it can be revealed, and that we can become even more aware of what's going on if we choose to see that. Remember, if we're not allowing ourselves, or if we're not choosing to see whatever might be going on, spirit can't override our free will. And again, that's something else that I've referred to many times. Spirit can only show us what it is that we are allowing ourselves to see and to acknowledge. And sometimes, certainly, to really look at what's going on beneath the surface, especially within ourselves, it does require quite a bit of courage. However, when we allow ourselves to shine the light on anything, it allows us to recognize what's going on, but also that light will dissolve whatever it is may be occurring that we might not necessarily desire to enjoy and to experience. So allow yourselves to really have the courage to see what's going on deep within yourselves. Because as we come to the close of the year, it's also offering us an opportunity to prepare for the coming year. Even though I don't, being an astrologer, I more emphasize the planetary cycles of experience, the natural cycles, as opposed to what is defined by the worldly, earthly calendar. That's not necessarily in alignment with cycles, the cycles of nature, which include the planetary cycles. These experiences are, as I understand, how we've been designed to navigate this human experience. All of this is to help us to create our realities, to navigate certain times or during our lives. And when we allow ourselves to really be aware of how we're connected with nature and these natural cycles, we enjoy a much more harmonious human experience. So I believe it's with the Lunar New Year when really the year begins, which coincides with the new moon. And I believe the Lunar New Year in 2026, I believe it's in February. I got to double check on that. But that really when the year begins. However, it is always my suggestion to work with the cycles, the planetary cycles and the cycles of nature, but also embrace what works for you. We don't discredit or belittle or diminish anyone else's beliefs. If your beliefs, and this is part of actually this this full moon in Gemini, honoring, acknowledging your beliefs. If all that which you believe is allowing you to really bring forth all that you desire, create harmony, peace, joy, and balance in your life, certainly continue with those beliefs. However, if not, it's time to change those beliefs. So this is an opportunity to become very aware of what it is that we may believe or perceive, which is not allowing us to really enjoy our realities. Remember, thought, word, deed. Unless those three elements are in alignment with one another, we're not allowing ourselves to enjoy whatever it is that we truly would desire to experience while in human form. And many times inadvertently, we're miscreating our realities. We're bringing forth situations which we may not choose to experience. So that being said, allow yourself the courage to really go within at the full moon. Allow this full moon to really show you what's going on beneath the surface within yourselves, so that you can shine the light on it, so that you can, one, bring it to the surface, recognize it, acknowledge it, honor it, shine the light on it, and dissolve all that which is no longer serving a purpose for you and which is not in alignment with all that is that you truly desire to experience. And also in Gemini, it's an opportunity to really recognize the power of the spoken word. Say what you mean and believe what you say what you mean, and all the mean what you say what you mean. I think I might have messed that up, but I learned that adage a long time ago, to allow your thoughts and your words to being in alignment with one another. Speak what it is that you're actually thinking. Many times, we say things that we feel another would want to hear from us, which really it's not honoring our true nature and our true intentions and our true desires for whatever reason. Remember, as long as you don't have the intention to harm another and to hurt another, that's really all that matters. Many times we censor what it is that we are speaking because we feel that perhaps our words may hurt another. However, if that is not your intention to hurt another, that's really all that matters. If you're speaking, or rather when we are speaking from that place of love, that's what's important to recognize as well. So this full moon, it's allowing us to recognize these points that I'm addressing so much more right now, especially as this year comes to a close and we begin a new year of experience where there are specifically powerful cycles between Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto that are very much creating some intense shifts in lives. However, the essence of all of this is to really recognize the power of light and love. I mean, really recognize and honor that. It really was during the 60s when this understanding was born, which I also like to emphasize that during the 1960s was the dawning of the age of Aquarius, as is sung in that song, that this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. It's not the age of Aquarius yet, it's the dawning of the age of Aquarius. And that age is continually dawning. I also emphasize that my understanding, by my calculations, the age of Aquarius may not necessarily be until 2165, and that does not infer that we can't enjoy the many blessings of a time of oneness. Remember, first we create something within ourselves. Then whatever it is we're creating with ourselves, that's where we're radiating out to the all of humanity. And that's how we're creating the situations of the outside world. When every person is in a place of love, that's when we enjoy peace and love in the outside world. So the essence of all of this, especially at this full moon, recognize and honor those thoughts, words, and even the actions that you are casting in motion in every moment of every day. If those demonstrations are not allowing you to really enjoy what it is you choose to enjoy, we're creating every condition in the outside world. Many times we're blaming leaders, but those leaders, remember, they have no power over us. And whatever is being demonstrated, even by those leaders, is really a reflection of everything that's going on within the collective of humanity. So the more that the masses can advance to a place of love, that's when we're going to see some amazing shifts taking place in the outside world, and the majority of humanity will return to love. The holiday season, the December season, it's all about returning to the light growing at the winter solstice. I'm getting a little bit ahead of my tangents and digressing too much, and that you're following me, and that these words are very much inspiring you, as always, to really recognize how we have the power to create our realities. That's why, we do what it is that we do. Now, on December 10th, Neptune has been retrograde, and on December 10th at exactly 7:23 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Neptune will move direct in its orbit. It's been in the very last stages of Pisces. Now, Neptune is the planetary ruler of Pisces, and in these last stages of Pisces, it's clearing away all the spiritual discord which is in the outside world. It's also an opportunity to recognize, and when I say this, I'm not discrediting anyone's beliefs. Please understand that. I don't discredit or diminish anyone's beliefs. However, Conventional religion is more about, as we understand it metaphysically, more about indoctrinations. And this last stages of Pisces is really one giving us opportunity to recognize the untruths, the mistruths that are taught to us in conventional religion, and to embrace a level of understanding spiritually, not religiously, spiritually, which is allowing us to, one, recognize, this human experience, it's only temporary, and we're spiritual beings. We're spiritual beings enjoying being experience, not a human doing experience, a human being experience. And the last stages of Neptune moving through Pisces is clearing away so much etheric discord. And that's why a lot of us are feeling very uncomfortable during these times right now. Because this clearing away of deep, dark, discordant energy can be very, very uncomfortable. We're also acclimating to a higher level of experience, which is also very uncomfortable. Just like when a caterpillar goes into a cocoon to become a butterfly. That metamorphosis is a very painful and difficult and challenging experience. However, remember what it is that caterpillar is striving towards, to become that butterfly. So as we're clearing away this discord and we're elevating to a higher level of experience, a higher vibrational understanding of this human encounter, it can be a very uncomfortable experience. And as I'm always suggesting to recognize, there are many tools available to counteract some of this uncomfortableness. We just need to choose to employ those tools. Remember, spirit will always help us, but it will not do the work for us. If we're not willing to really recognize whatever it is that it's required for us to do, to be for ourselves, spirits can't override that free will. We have a free will. Spirit can't override that free will. So recognize, if you are feeling uneasy and uncomfortable, there's so much information out there to help us navigate these experiences with grace and ease, regardless of how challenging something may seem. When we employ the tools and the opportunities available to us to create that harmony, these experiences unfold with grace and ease, and that is powerful. That is very powerful when we are recognizing how we have the ability to rise above any challenge experience and really embrace the blessing in that challenge, and not have to weather that challenge with difficulty and strife, and creating the challenge to be even more toxic than it needs to be. There are blessings in all these experiences. We just have to understand how to navigate the cycles and really work with the energies. Once Neptune moves into Aries, which will be in January, then the all of humanity begins a new spiritual cycle of experience that will last for many, 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 many years. Now, we have our next new moon on December 19th, and as you've heard me emphasize in many segments, that the last stage of the lunar cycle, which is the balsamic moon phase, that is the auspicious opportunity to energetically prepare for the coming lunar cycle. Now, the balsamic moon phase begins on December 15th at exactly 5:29 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is the moment that we begin that last phase of the lunar cycle. It's referred to as the dark moon, Lilith moon. That is the opportunity to energetically prepare us for the coming lunar cycle. So during that time, reflect on what it is that you would like to commence at the new moon, because a new moon is a new beginning. So reflect on what seed you would like to plant on the new moon. Energetically prepare yourself for all of that. And the new moon is on December 19th at exactly 8:43 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, this new moon, it's in the late degree. It's at about 28.5 degrees of Sagittarius. Every sign is measured in 30-degree segments. And the last degree, 27, 28, and 29, are referred to as the critical degree. Whenever that point is energized and activated, it indicates a turning point, and as well as a significant ending. And the last few new moons have been in these late degrees of signs. So that Sagittarius is representative of beliefs, but beliefs that really become philosophies. It takes it all to a higher level. It's the opposite of Gemini. Sagittarius is the higher mind. Gemini is the lower earthly mind and the earthly thoughts that we engage in. Sagittarius is the spiritual mind, the higher self. So we can employ these energies to really recognize how we're being inspired by the higher realms, and that we all, every one of us, even if we discredit or don't acknowledge it, we have a connection with the higher self, and the collective consciousness, and what we know to be the Akashic records, where the information of the all of time is registered and stored. And at every moment we have the ability to tap into that information, certainly to inspire us about ourselves, so that we can really be encouraged by the higher realms to become excited about this human experience, especially how we're creating our realities and we are the masters of our destiny. So this new moon, especially prior to the new moon, again, when I'm talking about recognizing and honoring those beliefs and those thoughts that you're casting in motion, really understand how you are connected to the higher mind, the higher self, and the higher realms, and how all of these elements are very much here to inspire and guide us. Clear away those etheric connections with the higher mind and the higher self. For me, I'm very, especially before I begin creating anything like this, or working with a client, or before beginning an event, I dedicate a considerable amount of time of clearing these etheric connections, that etheric umbilical cord, from any low-level earthly third-dimensional discord, so that I can be very clear with what Spirit is showing us. When there's that static electricity on that phone line, we're not really understanding and recognizing what Spirit is sharing with us. So once we clear away all of that discord, then we become much more acknowledging and recognizing what we are being shown from the higher realms. A little while ago, I talked about really understanding the power of light and love. And the return to light is indicated by the winter solstice every year. And this year, the winter solstice will take place on December 21st at 10:03 02 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 10 o'clock, 03 minutes and 02 seconds a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the moment of the winter solstice. That's when we begin the experience of the return to light. There are individuals who are not really comfortable with the winter time frame because it appears as though there's a lot of darkness. However, again, when we're working with the cycles of experience, we counteract any negative influence that we may have. The winter time, it's all about really going within, regenerating, rejuvenating, and really becoming very clear with what it is you want to also cast in motion and begin at the time of the vernal equinox, the spring equinox in March. I always suggest to recognize that the winter time, that's really the more auspicious and favorable opportunity to conduct that spring cleaning, because it's all about going within, clearing away the cobwebs, going in the closets, where, in our home, in a closet, many times a lot of negative energy can accumulate. So just allow yourself to just, through the winter time frame, go through your home, recognize where you may need to be doing some intense clearance, but also do that within yourself as well. Go within, step back from everything. When we look at, for example, the trees during the winter time frame, they haven't deceased. They're still very much alive. They're just in that deep sleep state, which sleep, when we are sleeping, we are also healing them. Many times when someone is symptomatic, they very much desire, have that feeling of wanting to sleep, because when we sleep, we heal. So it's about going within, maybe allowing yourself to sleep a little bit longer, not conduct so much outside activity, but rejuvenate and become even more clear with what it is that you desire to experience. I also, every year, I'd like to touch upon the ritual, if you will, of at the moment of the winter solstice, lighting a bayberry altar candle. That demonstration is what we can energize to bring forth the many blessings, specifically the financial abundance, the financial blessings for the coming year. Now, for me, what I like to create is at the moment, I like to use 4 bayberry candles, and at the moment of the winter solstice, first, I become very clear with those intentions that I want to cast in motion. I also like to burn bay leaves, because burning a bay leaf is also very good for creating abundance. But at the moment, once I've conducted the preparation for that, at the moment of the winter solstice, and I whenever I offer these suggestions, they're just suggestions, But I encourage you to really embrace what resonates with you when we're using all of these elements of nature to create our realities. And in this instance, bayberry candles as well as burning bay leaves to create financial blessings and financial abundance and prosperity. I use 4 bayberry candles. At the moment of the winter solstice, I light the first bayberry candle. But also before then, as I'm preparing, I'm energizing all 4 of those candles. So I begin with lighting 1 candle. Generally, a candle will burn for 3 to 4 days. Now, as the first candle is being exhausted, I use the same flame from that first bayberry candle to light the next one. And I allow this one 3 or 4 days later. I observe when it's dwindling down, and again I use the same flame to light the next and the next. And when we time this correctly, and generally it works out very well, the last candle will be exhausted, finished burning will be exhausted on January 6th, which is what many of us refer to as Little Christmas, 3 Kings Day, which for me, the 3 kings were really 3 astrologers. That is what my exploration and research has led me to believe, and certainly being an astrologer, that very much resonates with those 3 wise men who really, as I understand, followed we're told that they followed a star. I believe that they followed the stars, but also I won't get too much into my understanding of all that as well, but I do encourage, as always, to explore the many philosophies that are connected to this time of year as to why, for example, as to why we decorate evergreens and why we bring the evergreens into our home. One is to really bring nature into our home when nature seems to be, very lacking in the outside world, which it really isn't during the winter time frame. We bring the greens into our home to really honor nature and to recognize, just like the evergreen throughout the winter time frame, it remains green. So do we. We remain very much energetic and vibrant, even though we may be in a time of dormancy. In that dormancy, there's energy. Things are still very much alive, and we conduct these rituals, if you will, to really honor spirit and to honor nature, which really spirit is very much present in nature, and to bring all of that into our homes to remind us that we are part of all these wonderful things. The lights that we place on the trees and around our homes to remind us that may seem very dark, we're still very much connected to that light. That light never goes away. And I cannot emphasize enough the importance, especially during this holiday season, to really honor the light that is already inside you. That is the power of healing many things. It's the power of love, and that power of love is really what's going to create some monumental shifts in the coming times, especially addressing the alignments between Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, which really are, one, giving us the opportunity to fully understand the power of our thoughts and our words, as well as humbly understanding the power of love, and what, when we choose to be so in every moment of every day of our lives, to be in that place of love, the many blessings that we certainly will enjoy for ourselves, and then we radiate those blessings to the all of humanity, and we create that element of love in the outside world. I know I went a little bit long on this segment, but that's okay, and I know that you stayed with me, and I know this will inspire you, as always, to recognize your power, honor that power, always from a place of love and humility, and never from ego and greed. Welcome the many blessings, honor the many blessings that are already surrounding you. Amplify those blessings, share those blessings, freely share those blessings with everyone, and allow yourself to recognize how the blessings are returned to you 100-fold. I'm very grateful, especially throughout the year, but even more so at the end of the year. I'm so very grateful for everyone who offers me these opportunities to share with you my insights and understandings, especially astrologically. Not because I know everything, because I certainly don't. If I did, I wouldn't need to be here. However, I've allowed myself to be very dedicated to my human experience, my human journey. So, and to also rise above any situations which are presented to me, which I also understand that I've chosen before coming into this embodiment, so that I can know my own power, but more so inspire you, every one of you, to recognize the power of your being. I wish everyone a most glorious, warm, and wonderful holiday season. Remain in the light, forever in a place of love, and we will see each other again very, very soon. Namaste, many blessings.